Welcome to Lecture 3, which is market application, or in the general term that we're going to be using for this class, we'll just call it market, but it's not just, estimating market numbers or something like that. We're really talking about market application. What's the use, what's the potential application of this idea, and why would businesses or people want to use it? How would they use it? So it's really market application, but we'll abbreviate it as market for the rest of this class. And in this lecture, we're going to just go through, just like we did with technology. It's very analogous, and so we'll probably move a little bit faster, but just show you that there's another element. This is the second element that we're discussing involved in the innovation process. The first element was technology, and now we'll talk about market application. Welcome to the first lecture of the Lecture 3 series, which is about market application, our second element of innovation that we'd like to talk about. And in this 3.1, we're going to discuss the definitions, much like we did in the technology section. As we did with technology, let's make some definitions about the term itself. So here we refer to market, but we already described in the intro that we really mean more of market application here. But let me go through the definition that we have, and then I'll talk about some important parts about it. So first of all, the market, as the formal definition, encompasses the people and organizations who will use the innovation, the benefits they can expect from it, the behaviors they will change as they benefit in using the innovation, and the profit they are willing to render to businesses selling the innovation. So there are a few very important points here. Let me start with people and organizations. The term people and organizations automatically means that we tend to think of market application, and especially with the current times of consumer devices, we tend to think all the time about a person and serving that customer as an individual. But it turns out that many businesses are business to business, and so you could be serving an organization with the innovation just as much as a end consumer. And so it's not necessarily that you're picturing an individual person that you're trying to satisfy. So it's people and organizations. Now the second piece that I want to talk about in this definition is this term, the buyer's surplus. So something that I think we're all familiar with is the next term that we have here, which is profit. So we're used to the concept that, okay, I'm going to sell something and I'm going to sell it at a price above my cost, and the difference is going to be my profit. So whatever it took me to make this thing or deliver this service or whatever it is, I'm going to sell it at a higher price, and then there's going to be some the term there, difference between price and cost is called margin, and so I'm going to have some margin there, and that's my profit after I take out certain things. But what we're often not thinking about is buyer surplus, because it's actually never tabulated, but it's the reason people buy things. So when I make a purchase and I do that, I end up having some benefit, as we've labeled here, some benefit related, to that innovation, and that's essentially the buyer surplus. To give you an idea, if you think about the internet, what's going on right now is there's a lot of products in the internet which give the user a big buyer surplus, but the profit piece is actually quite small, and therefore the company can only do well if it's amortized across a huge number of customers. So you're probably familiar with this because you think about Facebook or Google or things like this. These are tools that give a buyer quite a bit. I mean, think about in our case, oftentimes the end user itself is not paying anything. They're getting tremendous buyer surplus. There's a small amount of profit that, when multiplied by huge numbers. So, for example, if you have 1 billion users, then you can actually make some profit. What this means, though, is that the margin, the percent margin is typically very small, and that's why these businesses, have had a checkered past of how to value them. Because, yeah, there might be 800 million users or 1 billion users, but the profit is razor thin, and all of the benefit goes to this buyer's surplus. So that's kind of a way to think about buyer surplus, and very important to think about, because as we think about the different market applications, we have to think about what price they can be sold at, and what the user is going to get from it, and keep in mind that they're related, because if you can imagine the case that a customer or an organization is forced to buy at a very high price, and they benefit but not much, and so therefore volume could be low. So these things are all intimately related. So let's go on to the next piece here, which is, as with technology, the market application space will be filled with current market applications, but also future market applications. So one of the most important things here is to realize that it's a little bit inverted from the technology case. So, for example, in the technology case, we tended to focus on always new technology. It was a thing that caught our eye, and we had to point out to you that, don't forget, old technologies inserted in combination with new technology to create many innovations. But here it's almost the inverse. People tend to think about current markets. So, for example, when I was at AT&T, as they became more desperate, as they got more bureaucratic and too large, they started thinking about, well, how do we get new markets? And we'll just listen to customers. We'll just listen to customers. And so the attitude is that we're not going to look at new markets. We'll just go to the old markets, and all we have to do is look at old markets and follow them. And of course, if it were that easy, then market studies and everything else would just tell you what you have to do. There is, of course, a man that famously made us think about this, and told us that, of course, we indeed need to think about more than that, and that's Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was famous for saying he doesn't believe in marketing at all, because he predominantly was focused on, of course, the new innovations, right? And so he was really, focused almost exclusively on, if I introduce a product, what kind of new innovations would be desired in the marketplace, creating new applications, new markets. iPod sold many, many more units, millions and millions of units more than the previous market had. So clearly he opened up new segments of the market with his thinking. And of course, it's not an either or. There are many, many cases where there's a disruption, a market disruption, where a new technology comes in from another market, and in the same market, it wipes out the previous company that was serving it. And Clayton Christensen's work at Harvard talks about this quite a bit in The Innovator's Dilemma. So old markets are certainly very important, but keeping Jobs in mind, we must keep in mind that when we're working on innovation, that there are untapped markets. There's always new market applications, just like there's always new technology. And so we don't stop and think about, oh, okay, we'll stop this innovation now because there's no obvious market application. As long as we have reasons to believe that there would be a new stimulated application in the future. So just like with the technology section, we're going to look at a very simple application, still our writing pen. Again, this is so we don't have to go through lots of research or anything. It's something that people can understand straight away. It's a fairly known technology, and here, the applications are known. So just to make it very clear, we're going to continue with our simple example. We're going to list the various markets that could be involved in the pen, and again, if you're going to be imagining releasing an innovation in the pen world, looking at this element is one of the most important. Looking at market application is one of the things you have to do, and that again, we're not doing the actual activity you would do to fill out this space. These are just simple examples to kind of get you going in this class and understand the process behind innovation. And in reality, we'd be doing research and calls to industry, calls to experts, just like in the technology element. Now, in this element, then it's called market research, or we would talk to companies to see. Now, one of the important things here is that keeping Steve Jobs in mind, people don't always know what they need or what they might want in the future if they knew what possible innovations were coming down the line. And so this is one of the reasons why it's very important to make sure that you communicate to companies when you're talking about innovation, not only to get information from them, but to give them options about what could happen in the future from your innovative production. So, for example, later on you'll hear the case about strained silicon technology, and we went around the industry for 4 years before the industry really accepted that as the next phase of Moore's Law. The act of going around and talking to companies not only fed us so that we could develop the technology in a particular way, but it also seeded in their minds that there is a way to make silicon do things that most people didn't think it was possible. They were resistive at first, but then you're laying a foundation that later on they can imagine how they could change their product with that innovation. So it's a two-way street, something that people forget, and it's really, really important. So we'll stop there, and next time we'll go into the actual process of going through and developing the pen, the universe for market application, just like we did for technology.